off island and going and playing in the snow.
Are you what the, are you with a group of people, or are you just doing this solo?
I'm with my peeps. I'm on a solo adventure with some of my core peeps. I just landed and I'm just hopping from love nest to love nest with all my beautiful brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is that where you're from originally? That part of the country?
part of my stomping grounds for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happened? You just like said, I'm going to go do this snowboarding thing, and everything just falls into place, and like, hey, come on, stay over here a couple days, come over here a couple days. Wow.
Yeah, you could say that. My heart at the end of the year. Uh, we all like start to think about what we're going to call forth, right? We're always calling forth and, exercising great intention on what we're calling forth. And my birthday's in September. And so that's when I really start like, trying to do more of an in-depth rather than moment to moment. I do an in-depth kind of recap of what the field has presented and what I've been willing to create with it and what I've been blessed. And then I just, ask myself, what is the highest and greatest expression that I can live through and embody and creativity and adventure or play has really been just bursting through me, just wanting to be more playful and unleash the creative within me. So yeah, and then here we go. This opportunity just opened up, and
Wow.
I was. I'm going to say yes.
Is it like like something that's put out there and people sign up for? Or is it something that you and your friends just kind of put together? Yeah.
Nope, it's just me as source, as you know how this works, and we honor what is in our hearts, and then the holographic field responds. And then
Mm.
when we're insightful enough to understand what's presenting, I made a pact with Source a long time ago. It's just show me the win-win, and I'm in, and I will with full wholeheartedness. And that's the equation. So yeah,
Right
you
on.
just yeah.
So you let Source know that you're looking for some fun and adventure for the highest and
And that
best. Yeah.
I wish to, as source, enjoy this human embodiment, which is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned coming into this past shift of the collective is that we're being offered to be here now. And a lot of those that are on the spiritual path or the ascension path or just knowing themselves and anchoring deeper into their authentic expression, oftentimes I've noticed that people get lofty in this spiritual context, and what I've learned over the years is that it's the opposite. It's more about anchoring the spirit and source into the human experience and embracing the human experience uh, as a endeavor that source is allowing or gifting us. And
Hmm.
so I kind of went through that phase of like purity and, just being that, it's just like you have this concept that you're trying to match the vibration of, and then you realize that it's the beingness of it. And there's a beautiful part of embracing the human. And like you say, the human is the hero. And I've always loved you for that because it's really integrating this experience of being flesh on earth and manifesting and coexisting symbiotically with earth as a human, but as a divine human, right? As that homo sanctos rather than, just the,
Homo Santos. I like that.
yeah.
Homo
Mhm.
Santos. Um, so now, do you do a lot of snowboarding specifically when you're doing this? Is that part of it everywhere, or you just do it a couple of times?
Well, that this goes back to my history. So I was prior to moving to Kauai 8 years ago, where I live now. I had I had been a sponsored snowboarder, so
Oh, okay.
basically, for many, many, many years, and taught snowboarding and skiing, and was a
Wow.
snow bunny. And so, yeah, I spent 15 years doing that. So, it was basically a part of my frequency. Definitely, I lived as a creature of the mountains and did snow camping and ice climbing and all snowshoe trips and between skateboarding, surfing, and snowboarding, that was pretty much an outdoor adventures. That was pretty much my life.
Skateboarding. So you're a skateboarder too. I think a lot of, I know my son who's a pretty accomplished skateboarder. Um, he's like 27, 28 now, but he snowboards when he goes. He's always gone skiing, and then, through the years, every year, he goes like once a year, and every year more and more snowboarding. Is there like a meditative? You mentioned the earth and kind of aligning with it. Is that part of it? Like when you're out there snowboarding, is that part of it? Is like a meditation? I mean, do you even have thoughts?
Oh, well, every morning, I have a daily dedication and a personal uh, flow, so to speak, that where I anchor myself into this human experience, into this human embodiment, and the ceremony of morning. A part of that is going through um, a breathwork meditation, and specifically about this human endeavor, and it being a part of a cosmic alignment, so to speak, with you know the purified source frequency, which is just unification itself. And then, so I have these crystals that represent each of these things, and I align them on my bed after I make them and do this meditation. And it is about, yeah, basically, the divine feminine, the sacred masculine, and the trinitized essence of that unity consciousness and the conscious creatrix itself as the multidimensional spectrum, and Gaia being, and many Gaias, but our Gaia, our mother and all of her kingdoms, and then the trajectory for the greater good of light, love, and love light's expression. So yeah, that's a morning ritual that I do, and when I'm every point from that moment forward, every decision, every action is based out of that intention to be uh, anchored into that level of source consciousness. So when I'm out and about, every soul that I see, like every eye that I meet, that I grant with a big bright smile, because I see me in them and I see them in me. It's there's no difference now. There's no separation now.
Right.
And so the mountain, the trees, the elementals are all an expression to me of that. So I am like a giddy child. Especially when I get out in nature. It's like unleashing a rainbow. It's just I can't contain myself. I am overjoyed. So yeah, it's like a walking meditation on a snowboard. There's just
Wow, that sounds so cool. I mean, I can totally relate to the feeling like a child, like in Kauai. I haven't felt like that probably since I was a child. Just running around barefoot and incredible. Or even jumping in the water, the different waters, the waterfalls, the ocean. Um, yeah, I just don't know if I could do that in the snow. But I guess if I had, years of snow bunny experience, I guess I could probably do it. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
so were you saying at the beginning of the show that you kind of put this out there beginning in September, something like that? And did you know, or were you aiming to for it to materialize this, like January, February, or you just put it out there?
No, no, not at all. I've come into such sweet communion with the creatrix that I already understand that whatever we fully allow our hearts to desire, and if it's a pure frequency, if it's just pure joy that it's evoking, that the how and when is not my job. It's to embody
Right.
that desire and
Right.
that intention fully and completely, and just allow the
That's right.
universe, the multiverse, to present it to me. So, and my job is to be present in each moment, to recognize what is showing up in the field, that I then can honor with my whole heart.
Yeah.
And when you honor it with your whole heart, that's when you start to see the synchronicities, and the grace and ease creates the flow and the momentum. And very many things had to line up for this to happen. And they all lined up literally with such swiftness that I was literally giggling as if someone was tickling me, because I was just like, I see you, I know.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is. There's so many things to pick up on here. I want to go back to the morning ritual thing in a second, but the like the value. I mean, the reality of what you're talking about, and the reference to, the part of our spiritual evolution. There's certain things, right? Like a lot of people, including myself, first reawaken, and then they want to tell all their friends and family, and they all, get told that they're nuts. That's one. Uh, a bit of spiritual bypassing in a couple different ways, which I think everybody can relate to. And then at some point, that whole kind of ego awakening, like when you first wake up and you're like telling the ego, like, because it's you, you're like, who do you think you are? But then you get to this higher echelon, like maybe what we've just gone through up through this 10-year period as we get into 2023, and you kind of give yourself that nudge, like, who do you think you are? Like, is that important? Is Soulogy important? Is this important? Is that important? Is there anything, because everything keeps pointing back to the present moment and being in joy and being in bliss without being fluffy, love, and light and all that, you know what I mean? It's just, so what it reminds me of is this morning, because I think we're all playing with this energy. The linear aspect really doesn't matter. Like maybe you went through something in September. Maybe I set this intention 3 nights ago or something, whatever. But it's still like this band of frequencies that we know and that's familiar, and we're basically aligning our free will with universal will. That's kind of how I look at it. So this morning, I wake up and the rent was due, and this would be like 3 hours, before I needed to go take care of it. And I had an annual fee, or membership or subscription for the broadcast software, which is essential. Well, I didn't take account for it because I forgot it was a year ago. So a bunch of money came out. There wasn't that much in there, but I still had enough. I had some cash and whatever, and I need $300. So I laid on the bed, and let me just say, prior, the way I started my morning this morning was with a kind of a ritual, like you're talking about, gratitude, breathing, and so I said to myself, okay, I'm feeling a little bit anxious, because I've got old patterns, we all do back in the day, when the bills get tight. Letting go, surrendering, living with whatever comes out. So all this stuff was coming into me and it was making me feel different ways. And instead of running from it, I stayed with it. So I kind of did like a test, but not a test. I just wanted to let it go. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put it out there, and may it be in the highest best good for all involved, including me. And I let it go, and I thought, I wonder how this is going to go. So I started taking a shower and shaving and everything, and like over a period of like 2.5 hours, just out of nowhere, just $20, $12, $50, and it got up almost to that amount, and I had the rest, right? It was like $30 short, but that's the kind of thing, and the reason for me, when I know it's accurate and valid and happening, and also how do you sustain it or keep it going and perpetuating it, is the humility. Like I look at it and go, thank you, and I can almost giggle a little bit because it's so right there and in front of us. It's just like trying to get used to it again. I want to ask you about your morning ritual, because I've always admired people who do that. with the, I don't really want to use the word discipline, but let's just say with consistency. I've really never done it, but about 2 years ago, I started doing gratitude affirmations, and every morning when I'd wake up, made it a point not to have my phone next to me, not to check my phone, and just start going right into that virtual world, right? And so sometimes I do breathing, my own things, whatever, but I don't do it every day, and I don't do it consistently. I have done it for the last 2 days, and it's brought me a lot of balance, and peace, and being able to handle stuff like that. But I wanted to ask you, like, how long does your ritual take? And if you could just kind of like take us through it again, what it does for you. Like, what type of breathing do you do? Does it lower your heart rate? Do you set the same intentions every day? Do you have like, things that come up, what do you want to call them? Desires, wants, thoughts, where you go, oh, that'd be nice to have that. How does that all go for you?
Beautiful invitation to share, and thank you. So let me preface this. It is a daily, as a life coach, which is what I do, you have to walk the walk,
Right.
right? You have to literally live to emanate the success that, and because you'll understand what happens in the trenches when you walk the walk. And you've done this in your own rights through your own journey. So, and we know that, right? Your audience understands that. And so for me, I realized that this was essential for myself many, 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 many years ago. And I just started trying different things and exploring what I received, exploring what it created for me and the experience. And so I believe in what I call bio-individualistic daily dedications. And that is just, we are all different. Doesn't matter if I had a twin sister that was raised in the same environment as me, we would be different beings, different,
Right.
souls that thrive with different, from different being ignited or practiced in different ways. And so what works for me could be helpful for others, but they have a particular like snowflake
Right.
design that is going to allow them to really thrive. And it really does depend on them. But
Right.
mine looks like I wake up, and again, I've been doing this for quite some time. So
And
I've been
let
able
me let
to
me let me ask you real quick, because I think you just went right over something that I think that is important. What did you call that? Bio what?
bio-individualistic.
Bio individualistic. So that to me kind of connotates with what you're saying. Kind of alluding to is really like a personal biofeedback, a
Yes.
personal programming through awareness within yourself, and kind of searching the akashic of yourself to see what most works for you in this incarnation at this time. Something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're all individual beings experiencing a biological avatar,
Right.
right? And so that's what I mean. Like our nutrition, our physiological needs, you are going to be different than me, right? Because you're a different being. You've got more muscle mass probably, So everything, when I say bio individual, it just means that which supports us in this moment, in the avatar that we are, at the state of awareness and conscious capacity that we are, and so forth. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important too, and I want you to continue. I think overall, and really, you're right. Um, it's less technique, although technique can be very beneficial for the people that really master certain things, right? But I think it's less technique and more intention. So really, it's the energy of what you do, and people like you that do that let's say every morning, this type of thing. So maybe let me flip it a little bit. what does it do for you once you've completed it? How does it apply to your day as opposed to, say, those days you don't do it or when you didn't do it before?
Well, I will agree with you that it is primarily about the intention, but the technique is the bridge to actualization, to
Right.
the experiential feedback. So it's the intention to facilitate your optimal well-being. And the technique is the bridge or the exercise that allows you to discover what does ignite that and anchor into that or facilitate and nurture, cultivate that optimal well-being.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I think there are base components that are fundamental. And when people apply them with consistency, which is just dedication,
Mm-hmm.
and it's dedication not to the technique, but dedication to the involution of your inner wisdom.
Like devotion versus, yeah.
It's the dedication to when I say involution, that's your higher self being cultivated into the
Right.
human experience, right? It's that wisdom, it's that flow and grace and ease, it's that zero pointing in every moment to be able to witness as a human, but through the eyes of the higher self. That's the involution of that inner authority or that innate
Mm.
wisdom.
Yeah.
And so this practice, this dedication matures that, it cultivates that,
Yeah.
it allows it to become second nature and or first nature. You're returning to your true nature. And so the benefit, the result is maintaining that frequency and allowing that to be your constant.
Yeah.
So seeing and functioning, being amongst all in the world, understanding that they are you, and literally holding that unified consciousness and that unity consciousness response that, that becomes your knee jerk, meaning that when I see suffering, I understand it to be an evolutionary process. And if someone's suffering, it's not their suffering, it's the suffering. It's not external of me, and it's not exclusive to them, right? And so there's a huge expansion of compassion, but
Right.
also honoring a sovereign journey, so that we don't necessarily react like we used to react, or we respond with much more compassion and much
Right.
more ability to nurture without it feeling like it's taking anything from us.
Right.
But to be honest, the process itself anchors all of these in, and you get to learn you're not just your five senses, right? Your other senses really start to come through, and it becomes a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. 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 It's a lot of that. Yeah. I mean, there's this energy permeating through, our Earth grid now. That's what you're talking about, which to me, and you said it pretty concisely, I think, it's basically compassion. Like there's a growing level of compassion, which means there's a growing level of non-judgment, particularly of self. So that creates that expands a person's energy field. And I think too, there's a lot to what you said about the technique, because if I think about most mornings, I'll be honest about it. Most mornings, although I do a little breathing exercises for a couple, 2-3 minutes from time to time throughout the day, and probably when I lay down at night. But it's not really a main focus. But what I was going to say is that on most of the mornings when I do something consciously, and I don't just get up and start going about my day, if I just use gratitude affirmations, it certainly does something to me energetically. It puts in, and I'm talking like 10, 12, 15 minutes. It does something to me. But the last couple of days, and like I've done off and on, I have a couple of particular breathing exercises that I use. And they're not time consuming, and they're not some, 20-minute deal. It's really typically no more than 3 primary, uh, breaths of technique, and then maybe 5 or 6 little follow-ups. But it does something. It does do something to me. I've noticed that it gives me a little bit more energy. So I think that might be, say a physical benefit. But I think what you pointed out is that ultimately what we're doing is we're embodying the soul into, you might even say, into the biological, into the blood, the bones, the tissues, and that's a reality. And it sounds crazy, but we talk about this light body transformation, but there's so much stuff going on with people in regard to their bodies in so many different ways now.
Well, to be honest, the very first part of this practice for myself, and I have tons of feedback from lots of clients. So, and that's the beauty of it. It's like that's where you really get to understand that it's not just a personal experience, but we can all unite through understanding that we're doing our own versions, but what we are experiencing is a unified experience.
Yeah.
Right. And what I mean by that is the first thing that this practice does is the moment that I understand that I'm awake, before I open my eyes, before I move my body, there's a moment there. Mm-hmm. And when you realize that you're in your body, in your bed, and it's before you even open your eyes, there's a state of consciousness accessible there.
Yeah.
And before there's any external stimulus whatsoever, to me, that is one of the most sweet spots to be able to just commune with as that awareness before you really invite the external realm in, the 3D human realm in. And I know myself as source there. I know myself as infinite and eternal and limitless. And I really milk that moment for as long as I can. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I just, it's so juicy. It's so good. And I revel in those moments before I really feel my body, before I move my body and feel the soft sheets around me or anything else. I just revel in that state of stillness. Right? It's just stillness, and it's so sweet. It's like a grandma's hug. Right? And you just feel so good there. And I acknowledge that as source self, as pure love, light, and light, love energy. I acknowledge that is the purest part of my consciousness. And in that, before I open my eyes, I invite that as my heart, into my heart, to radiate through every cell of my body for the entire day until I close my eyes again and go fully back into that place. Yeah. I invite that energy into every choice point of the day, every interaction that I have, and really celebrate that that's an opportunity that I can consciously attach my intention. So I bring my attention to that intention to carry that through every moment, breath by breath of my day. And then I do breath work. Before I even open my eyes. I don't need to open my eyes to do breath work. So, and I just do a breath work to bring that intention into the embodiment of this avatar down into my toes. And then I wiggle my toes, and then I exhale and feel the support of my bed and so forth. And just realize that this is a gift. This is such a gift this day. It's like a treasure hunt, right? And you never know what's going to, be on your path in this treasure hunt. And so to be honoring the breath work, to me, helps me bring that intention fully into the cellular level of my avatar, this beautiful body. And I get to just be so grateful for all that this body has brought me through and has allowed me to experience, and to be in wonder like a child of what this next day is going to present on this treasure hunt. And I literally am so freaking grateful by the time I do that breath work that I am so excited. I'm ready to get up, and I'm ready to play. I'm ready to like go adventure into the organic flow because, you know, I own my own business. I don't have someone telling me what I should be doing and where I should be doing it and how and for how long. So I literally live my day in such an organic way that I have commitments, maybe that I've like this one that I have dedicated time to, but I'm so excited about it that it, you know, and so it's nothing's work anymore. It's just pure excitement and this beautiful co-creation. And I move through my day answering the call to whatever presents. And I'm like, I've made it a pact. I will honor whatever presents to my complete ability through love. And then I'll move on to the next thing that presents. So, yeah. I lost your,
Me. It was me. It
there,
was me. Um, yeah. Okay. You said a lot again. um, yeah, that time in the morning, even if, even if, because I do it sometimes, and I'll fall back asleep. But even if I fall back asleep, I still like if I'm already doing it and I'll fall back asleep. I think I might open my eyes. I don't know, but I'll catch that moment. I'll catch it again, and I find too that I can remember more of more of where I just left, like more of the lucid dream information, or maybe the outstanding symbol or occurrence in the lucid dream. Um, yeah, but you said a lot there, and being in that flow, I think part of what what you're describing, because really this is the living library. This is us writing the new code. What you're talking about, what you're doing, what everyone else is doing, as we come into let's just say a more natural alignment to keep the highs and the lows and the rights and wrongs out of it. But it's again, I think it goes back to the compassion element. Even though it's not applying to people, let's just say, whatever comes your way because of the biofeedback thing, right, that you talked about, and you learn more as the days go by because you try more things and you become more acute. Your senses become more acute. You take those things on kind of without judgment or with less judgment, because you know somewhere there's something in there that's aligned with what you've put out. You just may not be able to see it right away.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1000%. There are no more obstacles. There's no more obstacles. There's not even when people see life as a challenge or that something is an obstacle, I now see that as a gift that I have to creatively unwrap so that I can discover what, you know, if you're perceiving it as an obstacle, then you're not seeing it as a gift. And the universe is only presenting us that which will allow us to know ourselves and to recognize ourselves and to express ourselves as pure love, light, and light love. So for me, it's just the way I perceive things is very curiously and very playful. I'm like, oh, all right. So
Right.
this may not have gone the way I had thought it was going to go, or that, you know, something may show up unexpectedly. But to me, that means that, you know, I'm being shown something. I'm literally being presented an opportunity to blossom,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to be clear, you know, find my clarity. So it's like learning to use the skills that the soul has come into. And I've been diving deeply into the gene keys and the human design. And I'm going to tell you, once you figure out your divine blueprint and you have that information in front of you, it's all about fine tuning, becoming into a mastery state of your divine design. And when you really look at that with through humble eyes and through deep appreciation for the soul plan, everything becomes a gift. Everything becomes an opportunity to share and show love, to be love, to live as love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Life becomes a share. Your life is a share. Life is art. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right, because it is that Trinity energy. like your thing in September, like my, I guess you would say my prayers last night, my communication last night. I made it very clear, and I think I and others kind of own this more and more every day. I'm making this choice for myself. I'm not saying, oh, I want this, and I'm making this choice for myself. This is actually the best thing I can do for myself and the world, basically. It's the same degree of measure in that Trinity energy. So that's, that's pretty cool, and I think we're starting to get a handle on it. And you're right too about the we spent so much time every time something presents itself throughout the day as we need to fix it, something's wrong, I'm lesser than, they're lesser than, because like you said, it's all the same thing. I've got a I've got a close person that's family that's projecting a lot right now, and it's very easy to see that the self reflection that they will see and that we have all seen at one time or another. And I think part of the reason for that is because another thing that's happening for us is we're seeing the energetic great divide. And so we have clearer lenses within ourselves, within other people. But it's to me, it's very conscious most of the time. Like, in other words, if I'm not conscious of it, it takes a conscious effort for me to remain vigilant in being conscious of what, in other words, everything has a purpose. Thinking about everything, every bit of energy that I expend to the best of my ability goes with conscious thought, right? And I think that's a big factor in this change because we created unconsciously for a myriad of reasons and for millenniums. But now that's over.
Yeah, we are definitely experiencing a great shift. And that, I think, is why what sets those who others perceive to be as successful or in what I call their signature frequency, right? That can just attract things to them and that are, the speakers of the world. When I say that, I mean the lighthouses. Like, you are a lighthouse. You are definitely in your signature frequency. We're all evolving through our signature frequency, but you do you. You don't try to be anybody else, right? And you fully embrace who Todd is, and you cultivate that to the best of your ability, and humbly and transparently and beautifully so. And that is what I mean by we are all on our refined, let's say, learning how to refine our awareness so that we can emanate with consistency. And to me, that's one of the things that the daily dedication provides. Is it provides a fast track, because once you figure out what does allow your avatar to thrive, mentally, physically, and emotionally, when you anchor into those practices, and mine takes 35, maybe 40 minutes in the morning maximum, for that to happen, what I realize once I do it consistently, and which I have for years now, is that consistency creates a literal beacon. It creates this open portal where I don't have to try anymore. It's already a part of my cellular DNA, right? It's already a part. My human has shifted into a different type of portal, a different type of beacon. And the downloads and the type of information and the things I'm being shown and the things I'm experiencing, like I I'm now experiencing things like I told you before when we, decided to do this. It's like I have been through like 3 stargates of the heart, blasted through since December 21st, since the winter
Yeah.
solstice. Never
Yeah.
expected that to happen. The first one was phenomenal, and I didn't expect that to happen. And then the second one came, and the third one came, and I mean, I don't even think I have words for it. It's literally so profound. But the things that you're shown, I was shown things, and phenomenal things about the trajectory of this cosmic wave that we're all experiencing, and the 0 point field, the 0 point field being like this, like a spinal cord, pure source light energy through like a toroidal field through all of the 9 dimensions, right? And I was shown like a China doll, how each dimension encapsulates the next, and what each of them were, and it was just this, and oh my gosh, and how right now humanity and my each one has a soul frequency. Each of us have a core soul frequency, and mine happens to be innocence. And when I was shown that when all innocence is the last of the 12 angelic rays to be integrated before the entire cosmic creation goes into a whole new level of Buddhic bloom. And so, the hearts of those who carry this innocence is really the last part of the Christed flame that's required for us to literally catalyze right into this next whole cosmic evolution, not just Gaia evolution.
Yeah.
And so I really do believe that daily dedication allows us to like build the walls of the lighthouse so that the light can literally start to emanate through our third eyes and see one another, and just be able to recognize and almost telekinetically, and to communicate with the speed of light without being present. There's some phenomenal.
Uh-oh. Is that me or her?
There you go.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
You're still for. Oh, there you're back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to everything she said. Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, since the solstice, I didn't count. I lost count. I was asking how many is there? Are they coming every day? There certainly felt like there was at least 3 phenomenal activations, downloads, memories, lucid dreams, sessions, shows, the telepathy, the sequential part of it. Synchronicities, but thicker, more physical. Like even when we connected, you told me that stuff about the 3 activations of the heart, explosions of the heart, and I was pretty much in the same space right when you said it. I didn't have the same language, and those around me, I could see it in some people too. So yeah, I've been saying since we got back on it like Christmas on, it's a whole different place now. It really, really is. It's not, hey, it's coming. It absolutely is here. And you're seeing a lot of people's intel that's really saying the same thing you are, just in different ways. And there's a few narratives out there that are converging with a few different people that are pretty substantial. I've seen where it's calling for, come March, April, that time period that we really start to create some new things because we become accustomed enough or refamiliarize ourselves enough with this more natural flow. But at the same time listening to you, I was thinking too, I can resonate with her, what she's saying. I can resonate with this flow. I can resonate with this kind of a newfound type of abundance frequency where you don't have millions of dollars and you just have what you need that day, and you can put some, those types of things, right? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I do that. But at the same time, I'm looking at myself as I'm listening to you and going, yeah, but I've had some doubts lately from time to time. Uh, I had to sit this morning, fear of rent, fear of, well, why is, when I first captured it, I was like, oh, you're afraid, but it's just a program because of years of living on the edge or whatever it was. And then, it kind of went away and then something else came in. But these were very, very, very human things. Yet, I was holding the broader perspective, but I was feeling the human. And I was thinking to myself, God, there has to be some kind of connection for me to take this, I guess you would call it emotional alchemy. So to take this energy that throughout our lives has made us go, oh, and that feeling. Sometimes you don't even know what it is, but it's anxiety kind of based, and to take that and then push it out through expression, the art of life, which I think is what you're talking about. You're basically creating from the heart. And creating from the heart sounds like, oh, you're going to work on this project or that project, but it could be me running into you on the streets of Kauai, and we hadn't seen each other, and or something happened, and we just kind of went our separate ways. Whatever the situation, it's hello from the heart, everything in between from the heart, and goodbye from the heart for now, kind of thing. There's something about being able to push it now through the heart and not being even through self-judgment, oh, I'm just in a pipe dream. Oh, this is just a program or whatever, or I'm insignificant or whatever. But yeah, I still feel the human part of it, but I know there's a connection between the more I can align with the human, the transparent to myself and accept it, because it's not like, oh, okay, no problem. It's not like that. It's like, okay, it's like me looking in the mirror and truly looking at myself, very human, right? Not going, oh, and not being that narcissist part of me. And I know that sounds a little strange, but this is just me and the universe talking. And I can take a superior stance because that's the way I've and others have expressed our insecurity. It can be belligerence or arrogance or overconfidence or cockiness, and I'm finding that these are some weird places to go that I never would have thought of. I thought all the answers were out in Venus and Mars and out in the Akashic and the cosmic. You know what I mean?
Some of the things that you said are so beautiful. A part of one thing I really want to speak to, because we all experience this as humans, is that straddling of, I have this emotion or this, this experience, whether it's, not feeling like you've got all your energy, or maybe not just feeling fully clear, clarity, or maybe balanced, but, any type of sense of unworthiness or whatever it might be that may come up. To me, at this point, what I experience when that happens, there's a simultaneous occurrence that now happens with me, because I experience it through a human avatar, but my consciousness is witnessing it as soul, as source.
Right.
And immediately, simultaneously, I have the innate, I want to say, instinct to embrace it and to love it and to nurture it, to accept it and say, this is perfect just as it is. Mm-hmm. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing actually even needs to be shifted, because this is totally perfect for the human because it is a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
But on a soul level, I also understand it as ancestral wounding.
Right.
I also understand it on a soul level as ancestral karma. And that's where the source consciousness comes in and says, you have a choice point here. And that's the beauty of it. You have a choice point. You can continue to experience it just like this is. There's no need for anything to be different. Or you have a choice to acknowledge it, embrace it, and alchemize it or transmute it, if you so choose, to where you can say, I get why you feel this way. I understand because of the history. I understand because of the pain. I understand because of where this is rooted. And that it is a human endeavor. And this was programmed and implemented and implanted in a karmic ancestral pathway. And
Right.
you can be the one that says, I think I'm ready to experience this in a different way.
Right.
And if we are, we can literally love that moment for showing it to us and celebrate that human experience because we get to be that which transmutes it, or at least that's what shifts it to a little bit of a different experience because we now are grateful for what we're shown.
Right.
Like, so grateful because now I know that I'm not going to perpetuate the self-loathing or the self-detriment or the sense of I'm not worthy or that I'm trapped in this reality because I'm
Right.
not. I know myself as source eternal and with free will to love this part of what my ancestors have passed forward, or that this life that I have been living now has shown me. I get to change in this moment how I respond to it. And at first respond with almost pure awe and then gratitude for that opportunity to feel it like through my bones
Mm-hmm.
and know that and then know like, okay, right? Like I can sit with this. I can let this experience show me where it wants to bloom and blossom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely changing rapidly, and the way it unfolds is different. Um, Time is different. Space is becoming different. Um, our mastery, obviously, is different than where we were. Our conscientiousness and consciousness, conscious living wise, is obviously. I mean, there's so many things that parallel that are expanding, um, and I'm finding that um, again, it feels like more of the solitude and stillness. And when I say that, I don't mean by measurements of linear time. It could be the 40 minutes that you have every morning. It could be me with 3 walks during the day. It could be a lot of things. Um, it just feels like it's changing so quick. I'm. Are you having any type of increase or amplification with your sensitivities or your psychic abilities or even your experiences in dimension or meditation or dream state?
Like, like I said, like not only are the synchronicities showing up so much more often,
Hmm.
the ease and grace of what I call the proof of alignment, or the equation of alignment, shows up. The result of alignment is what we see as ease and grace in the third dimension. But what I'm being shown, how I'm being shown, and remember, as what I do for a living, I am spending 90 minutes, similar to what you do, one-on-one with people or groups or leadership teams, but in these focused intensives, you might call them. Everything that I do is very much impromptu. Nothing is planned out except for the time that we're going to meet, right? And so to every because everything needs to be pure, there's no thinking involved. It's literally just let the heart do its job. Let's just let the heart at it. And
Yeah.
the feedback that we get, that I get through others, and I guess the what comes through, I already understand are not my personal thoughts. And it's I don't really call it channeling. It's just being that, holding that neutral space for whatever to come through that is most helpful to come through. But that, as far as intuition and the ability to, I am now far before, and I could have never even described this to even know what to ask for. And as far as like, I couldn't have asked for this experience because I wouldn't have known how to ask for it. But I am now starting to understand, and it's just been probably in about the last 7 months that someone will be speaking something that, even if it's a memory, and I am able to, for somehow I can feel them in that moment and help them understand and identify with certain things so that they can unpack it and clear the distortions. Or if someone is talking about a scenario that might be coming up, that's upcoming, I, for some reason, there's a way that something's changed where I literally can feel that scenario, that energetic, whether it's past, present, or future. Somehow, whenever they're speaking it to me, I can energetically, almost like, go into the fourth dimension, check out that timeline, and help them understand what they might need to so that they can make a proper choice point for themselves. I'm not having a preference on what they choose. I'm just allowing them to identify with things that will help them gain clarity
Mm. Mm.
so that they can choose whatever they want for themselves. It's pretty fascinating. I've been intuitive, but not to that level to where I actually feel as if I'm the one having that experience. It's a different level of empathy that I've ever had before. Um, and so, yeah,
I experienced something like that last night. I was speaking to Morgan about it earlier today. Uh, yeah, you just said something. I oh you know what? I have a curious mind, and I'm glad that we're all having more curious thoughts because I think that's part of the innocence, right? And the genuineness of we might call it childlike wonder, because I think that's at the core of innocence, and I think that's really interesting too that you say this is the last one to pull in and embody. Um, but I wonder too because so many of us have had external and still do what feels like an external experience, okay, or at a minimum a feeling of, oh, it's in me but I'm also looking at it kind of thing, or hearing it out there or whatever. You might call them psychic experiences, visitation, whatever. I would love to know, I think it would be a great poll, are your seemingly external experiences from essences, angels, galactics, elementals, etc., are they increasing? Are they decreasing? And if the answer was decreasing, I don't think that would be a bad thing, nor do I think increasing is a bad thing. I just think that more and more of this is being left to us in a good way, because more and more of us is being embodied in us. And you mentioned channeling. You don't really channel, but to me, there's so much of the soul being embodied in so many people at the same time, relatively, that our voices are becoming one voice, right? I mean, it's obviously multidimensional. We have many, we're all multiple personality, and that's a fact. That's not a, but it's like, for me, and I know I'm picking this up from other people too, because the telepathy is crazy. It's like we're having one voice come out of us, and that's pretty exciting. to think about that, to think about the lack of variation, to think about the present moment, the power of the present moment, the things you were talking about with the spontaneity, as a little wider definition, like where life itself is spontaneous. So every creation and every idea and every love and everything is everything you cook. I mean, whatever. There's a magic to that. That's why I've noticed for years, and I've mentioned this over the years. We've probably done total in addition to the show, including the show, probably 5,500 to 6,000 videos, and say it was 6,000 videos and 4,000 or 5,000 were live. There's something that happens when you do something live, and it doesn't mean you have to be on camera, just like live as in you step into a group meeting with your people or whatever, and you just start winging it. And it's just like jumping on and you can relate to this, like jumping on a snowboard, and you just start going for it, and the fall's not bad. But there's a magic in it. There's a power in it. There's like an igniter in it, because within yourself, I've seen it over the years on the show. People don't want to come on the show. They're too shy. They come on. 6 weeks later, like, can I come on again? Or you see them start making their own videos. Or you see them doing something else creatively. And it's a powerful, powerful thing, but it's also contagious for other people. And I think that's like our superpower, because as everything's coming at us, let's just say, or everything's designed in the old paradigm, and it's more of a, hey, we're going to throw a blanket over this problem, we're going to treat the world the same way, maybe it's a lockdown, whatever, that we have like a grassroots kind of, I don't want to say attack, but like like we're guerrilla warfare, like cosmic energetic guerrilla warfare, where we're coming from the ranks, almost like we are communicating telepathically, and everybody's doing the same thing. And I'll meet you when the grid is fully lit, because there's no like worldwide coordination, not at least by conventional methods.
Well, I'm really excited that you said that, because there are things physicalizing. And I'm part of a group of people who are like-minded, like we are, and that are looking to do things differently and manifest something in the physical world for everyone to be able to kind of create a new platform, like similar to what you have with Soulogy One. And as far as resources and things. But the truth of the matter is, across the board, whether you're conscious of it or not, is that we are all, what I would summarize what you just said to, we are all being given a full, wide open view of our multi-dimensional capacity. And what part of those 3 stargates that I were blasted through was showing me literally that how I, as in the me that I identify with as, Carlotta Jay, as we all are multidimensional beings starting to wake up and have a multidimensional experience continually, not just in and out. I'm human, not it's like that human being having a soul experience. No, it's a soul having a human experience, like that being your truest nature and truest reality in a constant state of awareness. Because now I literally understand myself as, this is my human avatar having this human experience. I understand my 4th dimensional options. I understand that I'm unified in unity consciousness. I know exactly where the zero pointing part of the energetic spectrum is, that is that unified unity consciousness, which has that unconditional love, that bliss bomb, that true constant joy at all times, that doesn't see a problem in a situation, which means there are no challenges, there are no obstacles, right? I mean, all of that's happening all at once. Plus, I understand you. So I'm literally living as a multidimensional being, completely content with the human process, completely content with what is happening on this particular earth plane in this particular timeline, because I already know that it's one of countless, and that it's simply being infused into a collective cosmic process. And so you're not attached to one thing, and you're just seeing everything as its beautiful, perfect, poetic part of a divine
Uh-oh. I'm going to get to that question, Susan St. Jean. Thank you for it.
Okay.
Well, you're back. It's the
Yeah, I'm not sure.
the fairies. No, you brought up a lot of good stuff. It really did. And then we had a question and a comment that kind of come off of what you're saying and expand on it and segue. So Divine Feminine Rising, she wrote a great point about integration. More is being asked of us to do from our human vessels to walk in our embodied version more and more. So Susan St. Jean said, may I ask what your definition of souls when you said we are embodying it more? So let's go after this. Let's just keep it going. So like, for me, I don't know how you feel, Carlotta, but I kind of look at it like, first of all, it's multidimensional. So there's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, etc. components involved in my multidimensionality. So just to keep it very general, there's the human, for me, what I would call the signature soul. Some people might call it I am soul or higher self. A lot of people call it higher self. And then above that, so to speak, oversoul. Which there's so much in between. Monads, so much in between. So to answer, what she was asking me about, how would you define soul? To me, it would be every voice. Ultimately, soul is if you could say that in its infiniteness, is fully represented by every voice that I have, right? Every single one of them. So in essence, the potential of my human, which as I'm understanding, I've brought this up in the last few days on the show, what had come in about, like the conversation was like, your body is your soul. And I'm like, what? They're like, your bodies are actually not what you guys think. It's more than that. It's everything. Everything is in there, right? And so I'm like, whoa, okay. So going back to what I was saying, that potentially my oversoul can live in my body, so to speak. I think one of the errant perceptions, or let's say less mature perceptions that I've had, that I'm coming to terms with, to your point, and to bring it back, is that I am soul is not a singular thing.
Right.
It is. So in other words, when people even talk about there's a soul in my body, I think there could be 100. My soul could be an energy complex of, 52,000 different planets and 10 million incarnations, and somewhere up there's an oversoul that I'm at the root of, that has my soul signature. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that the whole idea, and I love the fact that she used the word definition. It's not a singular thing. I can call on, let's just use icons. I can call on Archangel Michael Todd. I can call on Yeshua Todd. I can call on Magdalene Todd, right? So to speak, as an example. But so I think we represent far more than our singular soul signature. That's what I'm saying. And so by virtue of our soul, higher self, soul, whatever you want to call it, being embodied, let's just say theoretically fully, we now have at a minimum access and real access, real connection, real communion with all aspects of our monadic oversoul, whatever you want to call it. That would be kind of where I'm at, and that's, I think, my views have kind of altered, not for any other reason than I never had the awareness before until I would say probably solstice, to be honest with you.
Yeah, after what I've been shown around solstice, my understanding is somewhat shifted in a way. I would say it like this: from what I understand and and I get visuals. Oh my goodness, I got the whole. It's like I was on some DMT or some mushroom trip. Oh my goodness.
Tell us about it. What did you see?
Well, oh my gosh.
Or is it even explainable? Because I know a lot of visions, a lot of people that have visions say, I can't explain
Yeah,
it.
there's so, like a download. Sometimes there's so much information that comes into a lightning flash that it would take yeah, quite a bit to explain it all, but to put it into context, but to really to address what this beautiful soul um, asked about. So to me, the soul, and this is obviously coming, we have to understand, let me put it in the context of a human perspective asking about a soul.
True.
And what a soul is. So now
True.
I want to preface that, because when a human from a third, and I'm not saying she is or this is the case, but just so that I put this into context, when a third dimensional consciousness is asking about to define a truly multidimensional being, and they ask us to put it into a defined parameter of a third dimensional consciousness, right then and there, by default, it's impossible to do that. So what I would say was, to appease that, the best way I can address that is soul, from what I understand from the third dimensional context of what a soul is, to me, I would say, is the source spark. It is the infinite, literal, fractal truth, the pure source code truth that is giving the avatar the animation, that is animating it, that is literally the life force energy of this embodiment and this journey through this third dimensional journey. It's the source spark, which is infinite and multidimensional and constant and eternal.
Yeah. What she said. Every time she hits it glitches.
Yeah, that's funny. Too much energy. But so yeah, it's the source spark that is animating this third dimensional experience and
Yeah.
expressing itself through. But it is multidimensional.
Yeah.
Because what I was shown is that, the first dimension is unification. Period. It's unified. It is the unified field. The second is, it's like a China doll, right? It's the tiniest little doll. It's the most condensed and purest of that energy, and that is unification, period.
Mm-hmm.
And the second dimension encompasses that, and that is duality, which just means that unification chose to know itself, and which means it had to give itself another layer, which allows for perspective, literally to see itself, to know itself, to experience itself. So that's where duality came from. And there's lots of perspectives. There's countless perspectives in duality, but that's duality, hot, cold, and all the shades in between. That is the second expression of unification. The third dimension is the height, weight, and width of that, the height, length, and width of that. It's literally 3 dimensions. That's why it's called the third dimension, because
Right.
everything here is elemental and has third dimensions. The fourth dimension encapsulates everything, the third, the second, and the first, which is all timelines, all dimensions, all possibilities, all trajectories, every single sensation and experience you could possibly have in a third dimensional plane is accessible there, right? All consciousness. It doesn't matter if you want to be a green turtle with a purple elephant nose and Doesn't matter. Like you can have whatever you want to be another. You want to go on another planet and have different planetary, all dimensions. Everything's accessible in the fourth dimension. Anything you want, and instantaneously. There's no such thing as time. Everything happens, and it's anything can happen. It's just literally in instantaneous creation and experiential, energy. The fifth dimension encompasses all of that, and the reason why it's still and full of bliss and understanding is because it's encompassing all of the potentials of the fourth dimension. So it has an understanding. It's like it is the result of having complete access to all of that information and just being at peace with it all, accepting it all. And so that creates a unified unconditional love. That's the fifth dimension. That's like pure light, just ease. There's nothing to do there. It's just love. It's just pure understanding, bliss, love, acceptance, which is why, when you go out of body, as I have many times, and I've had a couple of near-death experiences, and I go to that same place. It's the exact same experience.
Yeah, nobody wants to come back. That's when it happened to me. I'm like, I don't want to go back. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Why do I got to go back? Oh, you got to go back. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Yeah, well, it's a choice point, and I have come back, and it was a choice, but but then then there's these other, the sixth, seventh, and eighth. It's just like Russian dolls, and that's what I was shown through one of these Stargate portals, and that once I was shown that and shown the toroidal field aspect of the ninth dimension being I am all that I am, and it returned right back into the core of that. What's at the center of that toroidal 0 point is the unification, right back to unity again. So it goes from unified through all these fractalizations right back into the ninth being I am all that I am, which returns it right back into the I am. And the eighth is the angelic fractalization, its source point itself, fractalizing itself into the 12 the major archetypal aspects of purity, which is innocence, right? Which is these traits that we give to the.
Do you know what that? Do you know all 12 of them? I'm just curious. And was this like from sourcing through yourself, another external source, or both?
Both. Okay. What happened which is I love. This is the way it works. It happened in that download, in that heart Stargate blast, that meditation, so to speak, that I was given, or that occurred during meditation. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but they are basically the traits of the keynotes of the archangels. So there is vitality, which or health and well-being, which is Raphael, right? The healer, so to speak. But and Michael, the protector, or the strength, right? And Uriel, the light. All of
so they follow. Now this is so Sundancer. She's had good comments for the last few days. I gotta, because she's going where I'm going with it, or have gone with it. All dimensions are still Now, this is just a comment. All dimensions are still in the matrix. I intend to leave the matrix completely. The reason I bring that up is because I can relate to that. Like, I've had experiences. I can't say I was outside the matrix, but I was outside of this galaxy. I was outside of this universe. Let's say there's X number of, let's just say for the sake of it, there's an X number of universes. I don't know what's out there, but I can relate to a degree what she's saying, and I don't see it as a bad thing, because I look at the stars and I go, I know you're an overlay. I know that.
Yes.
It's a cookie crumb trail home that we designed to play this game. So when I start to go into like what she's kind of bringing up, I now stop and go, well, that's two things. One, it is a game, playground, university experience. It's bottom line, opportunity to grow the soul. And that place that I know that's on the, let's say on the outside of it, is a place I know, and I guess I'll go back. And I think what you said about the, because I've had two, I guess I wouldn't call them NDEs, but I'm certain they were the same. And I've had, just dimensional out of bodies and stuff like that. But the one where you're actually conscious and you're shot out like a cannon, that type of thing. That's what it is. Where you land is what it is, and it's not really words. I mean, you get some telepathic communication, but it's just this feeling of, like peace and love, and how do you even describe it? So I think that's what you're referring to as well. Like, we go there, almost like it's our I don't know, like our nest, our home or something. See, you hear a lot of people talk about home. I want to go home, and it feels very planetary in frequency for some people.
Yeah, the fifth dimension. There's no embodiment. There's no literal embodiment. But well, at least what I know of it. But I would say she's correct, and I agree with that, because what a part of what I was shown in this is that the first 9 dimensions are in itself create this cosmic toroidal field that is specifically in context to what we call, I don't want to say the human experience, but a consciousness that is experienced through forms and dimensional aspects that we can access via the 4th dimension, meaning we can be Syrian, we can be Arcturian, we can be, whatever. This type of experience is contained within these 9 dimensions, the first 9 dimensions, starting with unity, unification, going all the way to the 9th, which is I am all that I am, and it feeds back to itself. There are more dimensions beyond that, and I believe that those are more rarely experienced, and that's what you're talking about, that she's referencing to, and that I have experienced totally unexpectedly, not seeking it out. It was more of just it was a trippy really trippy experience, and nothing like I could even come close to articulating verbally. And so there are more dimensions where it's you are leaving the matrix of what I would consider the first 9 dimensions. And great, for us to know there's even more is awesome.
I mean, who knows? I don't know anything. I just think it's and I think that okay, the language is a barrier to a degree. It's a barrier because the trajectory that you're speaking of, whatever terms we use to measure these blocks of information and codes, the way I see it, it's easier that way. The narratives okay, so the more, I forgot what I was going to say now. What did she say? Oh, I know what it was. Okay, so as an example, what's his name? Mateus De Stefano. A lot of people. Okay, so in his series, the first year I think, which was like 3 years ago, Initiation, he talks about the dimensions, and I think he goes to the 9th. Now he may refer to other dimensions, but in terms of, and again, it's not saying the same thing like verbatim, but it feels like what you're talking about, because what he says is you go through these different dimensions. Here's what they are. He's got his own explanations, and I can't recall them, but I do remember what he said about the 9th dimension when he was taken there. Was that it was a dimension. First of all, it was the end of something, that section or something, right? Kind of like what you're saying. That in the experience of the 9th dimension, you have a soul will have a perspective. I think he used like an example of, like, you remember those like a house of mirrors. Like, say you have a house of mirrors that have all this geometry and they're just mirrors, mirrors, mirrors. You walk in and you're everywhere, right? That when you're experiencing the ninth dimension, or what coding's available, or however you want to put it, that a soul can actually hold every single perspective involved from every vantage point, right? And I believe he says, in fact, I'm positive, to include like every possibility from, say, one timeline or one perspective, which then again has this multiplicity to it, which I think is another thing that you're saying. But like, just to keep it kind of a cap on, like to say our active consciousness, ninth dimension by your terms, his terms, to 1 to 9, like our experience, everything in that, let's say that quadrant of information that we share is relevant or correlates to the human experiences, plural. Like you were saying, Arcturian, and you hear, too, a lot of the descriptions of, not all, but galactic aspects are humanoid, right?
Right. I would say that's what it felt like to me. That's what it felt like to me. Like that, this is the bubble, so to speak. The first 9 dimensions is its own bubble for that type of consciousness that occurs on that galactic level, right? That has access and that sort of functions in that type of atmosphere or elemental, field. It's the type of consciousness that we're talking about here. Is when I say
Right.
human, I mean third dimensional. I mean the
No.
type of conscious, the conscious construct that we experience through, which is multidimensional.
Here we go again. She must be saying something potent. Well, at least we're not getting knocked off. Getting another shirt. You go ahead, keep going.
No, that's just that's what I get the sense of this dimensional, these 9 dimensions. It's like that bubble of this type of consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, like that's what because really you can't really take it out too far. You can't extrapolate it too far because it becomes, we've already complicated it. And like you made such a great point earlier, we're asking a question, all of us, every one of us, and I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. If it's Amma, I don't care. Muji, I don't care who it is.
Right.
We're still, as my friend Earl says from Texas, as long as you're living and breathing, you're still subject to the human condition. But we have complicated things, and we've figured this out, and it's coming down to these simple, profound truths, and then this let's call it the spirit science part of it, which is a little bit more gray in terms of what we can comprehend. I think that's even becoming, that's why I said people's narratives are converging. I see his narrative, which he attributes to a personal series of experiences, as just as well, they're the same to me. What you're saying through your own, through your own efforts and experience, is really the same thing energetically that he's saying. Which, if you think about the ultimate, what do they say? In the best of worlds, that would be it. We would have the perspective of any and all people. I could be walking outside and about to throw a piece of trash on the ground, and somebody in China, I've got their perspective. I've got everyone's perspective. What's best for the all? What's the highest and best for all? So that would, and just last thing, I've always kind of struggled with, we're moving into 5D. I actually think that, I feel, this is my own personal thing, that we're moving 4D plus. So it might be 4 for me, it might be 5 for them, it might be 6 for them, it might be 6, because I really believe that there's a significant number of us, and it could be a strong minority, that is definitely from, it's not our first rodeo. And we're representing, we think of ourselves as mutts, after 2,000 years, but we're real mutts. I mean, we're like mutts from, all over the multiverses. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I agree. You know, the one thing that I would literally leave with everyone that might be listening is that when you create a space of stillness within yourself
Hmm.
and you cultivate that receptivity,
Hmm.
you're going to be shown so much. Like all the answers are already there, right there, accessible for you. And, lean into what really creates a sense of intuitive gravity for you,
Hmm.
right? And you'll be shown your heart's desire, right? And to just allow that to come through, accept it, and just stay with it, be still with it. And that stillness will be the most valuable thing that you can cultivate, because that's where the receptivity and that neutrality is birthed.
Yeah.
And from that place, you really get to connect to all that is, and your heart's the route to that.
Yeah. No doubt.
And that in what I understand now is that there are many of us that are multidimensional beings, awake, aware, conscious of our multidimensional aspects,
Yeah.
being able to converse and help us realize that this common network is online and we are experiencing it, and there are these like-minded frequencies
Right.
and occurrences happening, and it needed to be that way so that we could recognize our multidimensional aspects and capacity, and that we all have a choice, right? We are source embodied, so this is a choice, and to just allow yourself that endeavor.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 90 minutes of Carlotta Jay, man. That's like a blast. Uh,
Woo! Woo!
she glitched 3 times, like a lot of these ETs do when they come on the show. Just a couple things. I'm going to come back on later today, and we'll, and also over the weekend. We've got more shows planned, but I think we got 3 or 4 shows planned. But I'm going to be doing some extra broadcasting this weekend, and looking for. We have like 400 or 500 people. We have a list of people to come on, and we work it as best we can. And then we have new people, and we have people that come on again and again that we reach out to. But also would like to get people that have never been on this show or any show that want to come out and just share themselves to the degree of their own comfortability. And then also, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for your continued love, support, and contributions. Allow us to keep doing this every day, because it is a spontaneous, multi-frequency kind of thing, and we all do it together, like everything else. So, Carlotta, be careful out there. Watch out for the bears. Are they hibernating right now? You're probably okay. Yeah. Have a good time. Enjoy your friends. All blessings to you and all your loved ones and all your future endeavors. And tell Kauai hello whenever you get back. From Todd.
Thank you, brother.
Mother Kauai.
Aloha.
Aloha.